I'm traumatized. I'm afraid. A long time I used to keep my round robin. I can't go in a round robin. No, nothing again. No, I can't make no money.
We're primarily here today to continue our assessment of the damage here, as well as to distribute some supplies to the affected residents. We have brought in mattresses, care packages, food supplies, toiletries, books and bags for the school, the students who have been affected. And we will also be assessing the infrastructural damage in tandem with the team from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The Prime Minister is also on his way with his team, and so we are here doing our preliminary assessment.
From your understanding, what was last night like for the residents who were
well, from my understanding that the place was quiet and calm, and the police were out in their numbers, and you know, it seems some people slept well, because I asked and I've been inquiring, and some people said they slept well because the police were here. They saturated the space, and pretty much there is some kind of apprehension, you know, because there are different stories about what transpired here, so you know, obviously people will be apprehensive. But so far we're playing our part to you know, bring relief and not scare and sensationalize what has transpired here.
So we are going to intervene using the new social housing program, and we will put some new units, but before we do that we need to establish who owns the land. Okay. But there's a bigger problem, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it as people who live in these communities. There are several lots like this where the owners have migrated. You have put it in a euphemistic way. You said they have given up on the land, and therefore you are here. And but you know, we always have to respect people's property rights, even if they don't show interest. We respect their property rights. So we will have to engage the owners of the property, and who knows, maybe we will have to acquire it. The government does have some powers in law to acquire property for a public purpose, and it is our intention therefore to look in these communities to see what properties are available that we can acquire in mass and start to regenerate these areas for the benefit of the people who are living here. But it is going to require some amount of ordering, some amount of social work, and it is going to require the cooperation of the citizens. I know as well that my own ministry, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is already scoping out the area to see how quickly we can mobilize. And Minister Mackenzie is here. Minister Mackenzie, where is he? He's outside. So he's coming, and he will do something through his ministry, and I know the KSAMC, I see Mayor Williams is here as well, will help. So the citizens here, in my opinion, will be in a better position than they were before, and we will try to move very quickly. But I wanted to just use this opportunity to say to the rest of Jamaica, especially with communities like these, which are older communities that are experiencing urban blight, they're run down now, that the government is going to intervene in a strategic way to acquire property and to redevelop those property to make them available as part of the housing solutions. This is a very small piece of land, and you know, we don't want it to be developed back to the way it was. It would have to be developed better. So we would want to have more coordination, more planning to make sure that the residents at the end of it have a better quality of life. So what we would want to do is to look at this lot, another lot, the lot over here that's burnt, and see how we can use this, the very limited space, because one of the challenges we have is just the limited nature of the space and land available, and we put a solution that everyone can benefit from. But communities have a role to play. You made the point for me that some people just want to leave because the crime and the other issues make it difficult to live, but you know, you have something called agency, meaning you have the ability to determine how your life is going to turn out. As difficult as your conditions may seem, you have to take responsibility and ownership. And if everyone who lives in these areas take responsibility and ownership, you know, the quality of life can improve. I know that for some people it might be saying, what is the Prime Minister saying, that you can stand up against gunmen and so forth and so forth and so forth? Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But, you know, when the community remains silent, when people who know better don't do better, then it gives the tacit approval for criminals to take over. What we want in the regeneration is not just to regenerate the buildings, but to regenerate the sense of community and ownership. Right? How are we going to own our community and say to the gunman, who may be my brother or a relative, listen, this has to stop. Because believe it or not, I have been following very closely the situations here in central Kingston. You know, much of the crime, much of the killings are of people who are related to each other, who know each other, went to school with each other, are friends with each other. And as much as we intervene with the zones of special operations, we simply would not have the manpower resources to have a zone of operation covering the entirety of the area. It's not designed for that. We do increase security patrols and so forth here, but you know, we just are stretched all across the island. And the conversation about security, oftentimes we neglect that the community also has a role to play in its own security. And that's a conversation that needs to happen and should happen in parallel. So as the government intervenes with a security solution, we intervene, which we're going to do now with a housing solution.
We're traumatized. We're free. A long time I used to keep my round robin. I can't go in a round robin. No, nothing again. No, we can't make no money. Back to school. Not even back to school. We can't make back to school.
Well, one of the things I will tell you is that we are going to ensure that these communities will be able to have a proper back to school. That is one thing I am
and we're not talking just about the back to school.
So
we have the teenagers them afraid to walk. The teenagers them afraid to walk. We're not talking about just back to school. We're talking about the street. Some of the park lane and everywhere. And the police them. We know sometimes the people them might walk bad and disrespect the police them, but the police them take it out from the people them now work with we. We are do all type of things. We're tired.
Communities like your community sometimes feel that the government is not listening, that we don't pay attention, that you are forgotten.
Yeah, true.
That is far from the truth. I pay very close attention to what is happening. The challenge that we face is that the situations that exist here are very complex. So sometimes we believe we are intervening, and what we end up doing is isolating one area or one set of people and help another set. So for example, we have put in the zone of special operations in an area where our analysis shows that was the center, the epicenter of the crime. Now, when I come here, I hear another set of people say, hey, you have put resources there, those people can play football, what about here? So, my job, right, is to listen to everybody and see how best we can organize limited resources to satisfy everybody's needs.
The residents at this time are fearful, saying that they have got messages to say that it's not over. What is it that you have to say? What assurance can you give the residents at this time?
All right. So we have been in this space, even at the point when the fire started burning the space. And we will continue to remain in this space. We have increased our presence. We are also, because we have been having conflict in the space, we're targeting some of the players that we believe are involved. And what we will encourage citizens to do is to come forward. even if they are fearful of speaking to me or my team members, we have other means by which they can reach us. 311, 811 are numbers that they can pass information on so that we can rid the community of those who are hell-bent on creating mayhem.